This meeting to order. Ms. Byram, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Anderson,
Here.
Mrs. Dawson,
Here.
Mrs. Harrington,
Here.
Mrs. Quintern,
Here.
Mr. Rickett.
Here.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies the presence of a quorum.
Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Hornick, is there any adjustments to the agenda?
There won't be any that you see on the screen, ma'am. Just what we'd like to bring back later, go over a few more things with you regarding the restroom at the high school. So if you would be okay, and we just, for the action items, we have the field trip request, the calendars, and the MOU.
Right. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Consent agenda. Minutes and financial reports. May I have a motion to approve the minutes and financial reports?
Move to approve as presented.
Can I have a second?
I second that motion.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Monthly operating bills. I have a motion to approve the monthly operating bills.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the January 2024 monthly operating bills.
I'm sorry.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on down. Public hearing on the fiscal year 2024-2025 school division operating budget. I will open for public comment. Ms. Byron, did we have anybody sign up?
Yes, ma'am. We have two signed up for the public hearing on the budget, Mr. Gary McFadden and Miss Rebecca Paxton.
Dr. Hornick and COO Honecker, if you're here, I didn't see you, and school board. In last year's Orange County budget, the costs for Orange County's public schools amounted to 54% of the consolidated Orange County fiscal year 2024 budget. OCPS spending and the decisions made by the OCPS school board have a significant impact on both Orange County taxes and the quality of children's education. On January 30, I wrote a letter to all of you asking for your support to make our school budget easier for parents and voters to understand. I ask that you consider 4 actions to improve Orange County residents' ability to understand and independently analyze the new budget. Action 1. Please provide the budget data in a single Excel spreadsheet available for download to Orange County residents. This data is already available within your finance department reporting systems. As such, it should only require minimal effort to export to Excel. Action 2. Because salaries usually represent one of the larger aspects of many budgets, please add an accompanying page to your budget presentation which addresses and summarizes current and newly proposed full-time equivalent headcount levels for instruction, administration, pupil transportation, operations and maintenance, facilities, fund transfers, and technology. A brief narrative explaining the rationale for any FTE increases or decreases and the degree to which these changes are essential or non-essential would also be appropriate and helpful. Action 3, please provide a narrative which explains, in layman's terms, the hierarchical relationships between cost centers, project numbers, department numbers, and organization numbers as itemized on pages 9 through 33 of the budget on the web. Action 4, because contracted services also represent another one of the larger aspects of many budgets, please add a page in your budget presentation which addresses and identifies all new and carried over contract services priced valued at over $5,000 total price by name, purpose, contract type, i.e. firm fixed price, cost reimbursement, or any variation of same, and the type of acquisition used, full and open, single source, or sole source. My letter essentially asks 4 yes or no questions in an effort to lead to greater budget transparency. Each of you have a duty to parents and teachers. I am disappointed that I find myself waiting for a substantive reply. Unless the board and/or Mr. Honaker can show cause this evening as to why an affirmative response to my reasonable information requests are not in the public interest, I am prepared to initiate a FOIA request, which will arrive at Ms. Byram's inbox at the conclusion of this meeting.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Paxton, and I am a reading specialist at Unionville Elementary School. I've taught for 24 years. This year, I have watched our extremely effective kindergarten teachers provide excellent instruction and classroom management for the 24 5-year-old students in their classrooms. I understand that increased class size is becoming more and more common, but 24 students in a kindergarten class with 1 teacher is most concerning. All but one of the other elementary schools in the county have between 22 and 24 kindergarten students in their classrooms as well. The Virginia Department of Education, by law, requires another full-time person when the kindergarten class size reaches 25 students. A large percentage of these kindergarten students have not attended preschool, and this is their first school experience. Teaching the academic rigor of kindergarten, which is more like the first grade curriculum in the 1990s, compels the urgency of having more than one full-time position with 24 kindergarten students. Everyone agrees that small classes are beneficial. The issue, of course, is paying for it. You know that research studies found that smaller class sizes resulted in higher test scores. But did you know that smaller class sizes are also correlated with decreased youth crimes and teen pregnancy, as well as increased high school graduation and college enrollment? Perhaps exploring the role of full-time instructional assistants in kindergarten classrooms and increasing their salaries would be another way of providing valuable instructional support in large classes. Unfortunately, the salary of a beginning instructional assistant begins at $15 an hour. One veteran instructional assistant employed by the county for 12 years makes $12 per hour. Studies show that instructional assistants not only boost academic achievement, but have positive effects on the academic performance of students of color and students in high poverty districts. Instructional assistants are a cost-effective way to improve improve student achievement in classrooms. As Orange County continues to grow, the school board will need to be creative in their mission to help all students achieve at the highest levels possible. I ask you to consider full-time instructional assistants in all kindergarten classrooms, as well as increased financial compensation for their instructional support in the kindergarten classroom. It is a challenging time to be involved in education, and I appreciate your time and effort as school board members. Thank you.
Ms. Byram, has anybody else signed up?
Not for the public hearing.
All right, well then I will close out the public hearing and we will open public comment.
Public comment, we have one speaker. That's Miss Alyssa Waller.
Imagine printing out a lovely Black History speech and not having it with you today. But I guess I can just wing it with you guys. I started out talking about little known facts on Black history and how we often discuss Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, slavery, the plantations in Virginia. But there is so much more to Black history than those things. And a lot of it is right here in Virginia. We often take our students to field trips that are educational, such as Monticello or to James Madison. Black history is very difficult to discuss, and I know for sure because as I was trying to decide what to discuss here tonight, I thought about my own Black history and how I have connections to Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and finding out that one of my fifth great-grandfather was actually in the Union troops here in Louisa County in the Civil War. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't discuss it, because we should. It would help all students understand that Black history isn't just Black history, it's American history. It's all of our history. It's a part of each and every one of us, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, but it's important. You can go onto the Virginia site today, and it talks about all the tours that can be taken on the Civil Rights Trail, or Black history things in Richmond, or the Gilmore Cabin just right up the street. I wanted to ask the school board and teachers and staff that are here, why not consider taking our students to some of those places and educate them on some of the things and the great contributions African Americans have made to the United States, such as the traffic light, potato chips, peanut butter, that Super Soaker water gun, color television, and I can go on and on with the list of things that I did have on my sheet, but unfortunately I don't have it here today. And so although I haven't been here in a while, and I'm not gonna chastise anybody or anything, I would like to welcome the new board members, and I hope you all choose to serve all students, no matter race, creed, color, religion, background, or sexual orientation. But for Black History Month, I would just like you all to consider some of the little known facts. Just dig a little deeper than the surface things that you all discuss each and every year with our students. They deserve to know more than what we are being taught. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right, then I will close public comment. And then we go to Dr. Hornick, recognitions.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I'd like to bring forward Mr. Hill. And we have a recognition here this evening that's very worthy. And we're happy to pass this over to Greg so you can meet some incredible folks. Greg?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Hornick, it's my pleasure tonight to bring up and recognize Brandon Bennett. He's a network support technician with us here in the county, part of our team, and it's of note that his teammates came for this recognition as well. They gave up their time to be here to support him tonight and to share in this, as well as Mr. Bennett's wife. But Brandon, a year and a half ago, was willing to take on the daunting task of trying to support our PA systems throughout the schools. They've been in place, some of them since 2000. That's old analog technology, and we're trying to bring it into a digital world. Cost to replace one of those units, the very front end of it, the head end, we priced to see if we could digitize those. The quote that I got, the best quote I could find, was $25,000. So Brandon's been working within this environment. He came up with a very cost-effective solution. It's not $25,000. I'm happy to say it's $500. And it is doing what we want it to do to keep our children safe and to be able to communicate throughout the buildings. So in recognition of that, I said he's being recognized for helping keep our students safe by ensuring the functionality of our school-wide PA systems. He's further commended for his creative and cost-effective solution to refreshing those PA systems. So I can't say enough about how he embraced this. He could have just said, well, we can't do it with what we have. We're going to have to do this full, $25,000 replacement that would give us a level of functionality that was not even something we need. We just needed to come on and make those broad announcements. Bus dismissals, and certainly from the safety, when we're calling a code red, we want to be able to reach everybody. So He's commended for doing that and doing it in such a fiscally responsible way. So thank you very much, Brandon.
Congratulations, Brandon.
All right.
Daniel, Travis, Brandon, and Greg, would you guys stand up for just a second? So our entire instructional team consists of these 4 individuals and 1 more person to take care of all of the students, all of the faculty, all of the Chromebooks, all of the teaching devices, Airtame, laptops, MacBooks, all of that. And even since the onslaught of COVID and this school division moving to a 1-to-1 model where we had Chromebooks, but we had devices for staff, but not for students. So we've infused thousands of technology devices. This team here has done this work without us adding staff to it. And I think that's a really important point when we look at budgeting, et cetera. These fine gentlemen, plus Matt, who's not here this evening, take care of all of this technology, safety, the web, wireless. Last week when we had trouble at the meeting, for those of you who were here, it was Brandon working behind the scenes to fix those issues in real time and get us back up online, taking care of our streaming for these meetings. Gentlemen, what you all do on a daily basis and the amount that you take care of, and we rarely do the issues get out beyond because you address them as they come forth. It is really, as a collective, to be commended what you're able to do with 5 people in the department. So I would like to extend to you my greatest thanks for making a difference here in Orange. You all are to be commended. Congratulations to each of you. And that's all this evening for recognitions, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to action items. Dr. Hornig.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. So as the board will recall, each of these items are except for A, are from the previous meeting last week. We'd like to start this evening, and our folks from the high school are here. We have an overnight field trip request for our DECA group to attend the State Leadership Conference, March 1st through the 3rd. Ms. Day Owens is here. Mr. Price is here. You all, or if you want to please come to the podium in case the board has any questions, or I think it'd be phenomenal if you just tell a little bit about the group and this particular trip, and just share some information. I think it's always great where you all have an opportunity to get a little FaceTime with our board members as well. So welcome. Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Price. Ms. Day Owens, I turn it over to you.
This would be our 7th trip to States. Right now we have 32 students who want to go of the 43 that we have in current membership. At the state conference, we do leadership competition in marketing. Students have been preparing for this event since the beginning of school. They have to learn marketing and business concepts. They have to learn how to speak publicly, and they also have to learn how to design and how to write. All day, they've been writing papers. We have about 5 papers we're submitting tomorrow by 11:59, and they are two 10-page papers and 3 20-page papers, and the rest of the contestants will be doing oral presentations.
Madam Chair, we're hoping that the board will approve this field trip for these young folks to go to the state competition in Virginia Beach. Thank you, Ms. Day Owens. Appreciate it.
Is there any questions?
May I just ask,
Oh.
could you tell me how the students become eligible for participation?
In August, when school starts, we have a membership drive. All the career technical student organizations usually have requirements like in Virginia, per VDOE, all students have to be in a marketing class for the year, at least one. And they also have a $15 membership fee. So as long as they have met that, at the state competition, we are hoping to receive an award, a trophy for our annual report. It distinguishes us against other chapters in the state of Virginia for the amount of events, community service that we do. From August to January, we also submitted a couple of other papers for our membership and social events and community service for the first semester. So we're hoping, we haven't got a word yet if we receive those, and we wouldn't know until that night. We also put in one of our alumni who's very well known in the community, a friend of DECA, Emmett Ayler. We put in for that. We put in for me and Ms. Darnay to be outstanding advisors. We have 6 students getting honor awards for Honor Society and 6 members getting a merit award.
That's absolutely wonderful. I would ask also, you said you had a $15 fee. Is that for the students to be in the club?
Yes, and the advisors.
And if the student is unable to pay
Yeah,
that,
that's a state and national fee. All career technical student organizations, CTSO, have those membership fees that we have to pay to the state and national.
and if the student does not come up with that fee, they are not able to participate in the club.
Usually we can find a sponsor.
That's what I'm wanting to hear. Thank you very much. Let me know if I can help in any way. Thank you.
We are selling bundt cakes.
I love bundt cakes.
Plug.
So we will reach out. I have the form with me.
Good
If
advertising.
anybody would like a bundt cake. Right now, I told the students last week, I said, because we teach sales, right? I said, whoever sell the most bundt cakes, I'll give you a gift basket with DECA stuff. Before I knew what happened, students were like, I sold 75 bundt cakes so far. I sold 85 bundt cakes. Now it's like a competition, so we'll see.
That's awesome.
But if you haven't had one, you're missing out.
Free advertisement.
Thank
You're
you.
on live stream right now. So great.
That's what I do.
Mr. Rickett.
I look forward to seeing you again during our recognition when you come back and sharing the results with us. Very much look forward to it. So thank you very much for everything you do. Appreciate it, Mr. Price.
May I have a motion to approve the field trip?
I would make a motion to approve the field trip as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good luck on your trip.
Thank you very much, folks. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Next, we will move to our 24-25 and 25-26 draft calendars. We shared quite a bit of information with you all last week, and I have corrected the errors that I made on the documents, so they are ready to go. Again, Ms. Dawson is here, should you need her. We're really proud of these recommendations, and based on the feedback from the community as well as the calendar committee, we are humbly asking your approval for draft calendar 2 for both this coming school year, 4-5, as well as the following school year of 25-26. And we really feel that doing 2 years in advance provides a little bit additional information for our families ahead of time to make decisions about trips, vacations, and anything else they need to plan. And again, we're really happy to bring these forward this evening.
Is there any questions on the calendars that were presented?
No, ma'am.
All right, then. May I have did you have something, Mr. Rick?
No, ma'am.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve 2024 draft 2 and 24-25 draft 2, 25-26 draft 2.
Move to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
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 All right.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. And finally, this evening, Mr. Rudder is also here. This is coming forward originally last week per Mr. Ricketts' request for the facility usage MOU with Orange County. Mr. Rudder is here, and I'm here if there's any additional questions. I believe that we have all of the corrections to the name, so it is updated now to reflect the current makeup of the board. And we are humbly asking for your approval of the facility use agreement with the County of Orange.
Is there any additional questions? Nope. Would someone like to make a motion?
Move to approve as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, Madam Chair, members of the board. That is all for action items this evening, and I yield the floor back to you.
All right. Down to board member items. So the letter A is the consideration of the letter to the Board of Supervisors. I took into consideration the comments that were made at the last meeting, and I revised the last paragraph. Was there any additional questions or concern? What I had proposed was to discuss this or bring this to the Board of Supervisors at their next public meeting.
What's their next meeting? What's that? Do you know that date?
It's the 13th, I think, or 15th.
I think it's the 13th.
They're on Tuesdays, Madam Chair.
Tuesdays. Calendar. And then that will give them sufficient time to discuss it. Yes, the 13th at 5 p.m.
I would just reiterate the same thing we discussed before. I'm not opposed to moving. I would like to see us get through the budget season, maybe into March. I have no problem moving forward tonight if we can go to the meeting in, what is it, whatever the date, the second Tuesday you said?
It's the 13th,
The 13th.
February 13th, so next Tuesday.
I meant March.
Oh, okay.
Kind of that gets us through.
Well, again, the letter is not necessarily stating anything, and the wording that I put in there is that we're still working out the details when we would use that building. So there's no definite date that we would start using it. So this is just to get their approval if and when we decide that we want to use it. And we had also talked about traveling amongst the different schools as well, and I think that was kind of a unanimous idea that everybody thought would be a good idea in the future. So again, it's nothing that we're setting any particular date in stone. This is just to get approval to use it. So.
And Madam Chair, just one more side comment, if you may. Until tonight, I hadn't been to the board meetings while on crutches, and that was another difficulty this evening because of how dark it is and with the steps out front and just how far it is to get back here. It is a little bit of a ways, so that might limit other community members from wanting to participate in school board meetings, which is not something I had, realized until I was in the predicament. So just something to bring up. But with that, I would move that we approve this letter as presented and have a representative present that at the next Board of Supervisors meeting for them to deliberate.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
May we have discussion?
What
Is
did-
that how it works? After the second, we get to discuss it for just a moment?
We can discuss. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to state that I had some questions regarding this. The Chair and I have had an opportunity to discuss this. I am absolutely in favor of alternating our meeting location throughout the county and the different school locations. I think that's a great idea. I kind of think this is a little bit premature, just because we have other educational and instructional things that we need to focus on. But to start the conversation, I would support that.
Okay. All right. All right. We have a second. All those in favor by presenting this to the Board of Supervisors? By saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Aye.
Thank you. And next we have the Board Legislative Committee update. That is Ms. Harrington and Mrs. Quintern. Ladies?
I'll just start off. We, at the last meeting, we had discussed just replying to the legislators. In my initial inquiry, they had responded requesting a little bit more information. And I do not want to belabor that or have them wait too long, as I know their calendars fill up rather quickly. So after discussing with Ms. Harrington, she came up with a more formalized letter to present. And I believe further down the road, we are also going to be working on a proposal to have set up for future inquiries.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to work with Ms. Quintern. I'm happy now that she's going to be able to get out and about, and maybe we can meet in person and have better meetings and more often. But we have been talking about several things, and one of the issues that was important to me was the nature of this legislative committee, the ability to be taken and identified as a professional organization to attract different stakeholders within the county to work with us to make sure and support student education and instruction. So I did prepare a memo this evening that I wanted to present to the board as a whole, just to make sure that we're all on the same page relative to our mission and goals. I believe this is an Orange County Public Service Board item that needs to be approved, or at least given direction that this is going in the right direction. We don't want to be representing the entire board if we're not going in the right direction. So, first of all, I just signed the mission is to develop a legislative advocacy committee consisting of local stakeholders, organizations working collaboratively, identifying areas within the Orange County Public Schools system which may benefit from direct legislative advocacy efforts, the objectives of board, committee, and stakeholders, identifying areas of importance or concern, and working closely with our representatives at the local, regional, state, and federal levels to craft or support necessary legislative action or new legislation going forward. Development of processes for working directly with state legislative representatives, requesting their support of current legislative bills and actions which are of primary importance to our school division, and or assistance in crafting and presenting bills which reflect the division's specific needs, and the goal of participating in the legislative discussion and evaluation of school-related or educational issues at the local level in a more comprehensive manner. I would like to see if there was anything that other board members would like to address in that area as far as discuss, add, take out, anything that doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah, so we'll just go with the Ted confused. So we have a legislative committee letter to the school board and then one to the legislators. It's not the same thing.
Correct.
Are we saying the same thing?
Yes.
Just in an extremely different format.
And definitely we could take time to look at it more closely, but I think that this does reflect the intent of the committee, reflects the conversations that Ms. Quintern and I have had, and hopefully as we scroll down and get to the action plans, you'll see those next steps that will be defined. But the letter to the legislatures, the representatives that will be also presented next, is reflective of this mission, objective, and goals.
And that's already been sent?
Ms. Harrington wanted to wait to discuss it tonight.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
that's, the original email is the second attachment, and then
That's the proposed letter to the legislators, yeah.
and Ms. Harrington preferred to delve into it a little bit deeper, so she prepared the third attachment, which would be the email going forward, if that's approved.
Thank you. And I would agree with the letter as you went through. We do need to start with some local support and reach out and get kind of their buy-in to what we would all like to do before we start to kind of expand or attempt to expand, I would say. But let's see if we can get our local people on board and start to discuss these things. But understand, thank you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just to clarify, the action plan does reflect that process, so going forward. And I'm not going to read it all because people have it. It is on public record. But primarily, we want to work with the superintendent and team to identify division-specific areas of interest, red tape issues that we can talk to and hopefully resolve, legislative policy issues, and the calendar of timelines. And then we'll be reaching out to these other educational and local stakeholders to get their participation and go forward with that process. But I think that, again, this gives us kind of a guideline as to how we want to go forward within the committee process, and it kind of identifies the role that we will have as representatives of this board. It identifies, I hope, the agreement to the, again, mission, objectives, and goals that were presented, and it does provide us a more professional process to go forward with. So. That's basically this on the initial letter to the school board. And again, just asking if you had any questions or required further clarification, or if this seems to support the direction that you had intended us to go in also.
So just reading over it, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for us as Orange, and being that this is something new that no other district has tried. I think it's definitely a work in progress. You know, it's going to be evolve over, after the first meeting, it may change drastically. We don't know. So I think getting the ball rolling and moving forward with it so that we can start the process and figure out what it's ultimately going to look like. So I think the letter is a great.
And Ms. Quintern, you said that Delegate Freitas and Senator Reeves and Delegate Scott have already indicated their interest in being a part of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Did we hear back from Congresswoman Spanberger yet?
She sent me an email, and that's why I was trying to push to get something back to them. So she sent an email asking for further clarification, as well as Senator
So this
Warren.
is the document that will go to...
I believe attachment number 3, if everyone is in agreement, would be
this one. Okay. So this will go to all of those.
would be going to because I've reached out
national
to everybody,
and
all
state
of our
level
yes, ma'am.
representatives.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. I like it.
Thank you. So we would like to, we have presented this and have it as coming from the board as a whole. Again, to give it that level of support and strength that we need, and make sure that our legislators and representatives know how important this is to our local division. So since we did change that and didn't put myself and Chelsea's name, I would respectfully request approval to forward that.
May I?
Just-
Yes?
Yeah, just one note, looking at the first sentence. I think we're going to have to take a quick look at policy. I don't believe this is actually a standing committee. The board doesn't have standing committees. Basically, I mean, a standing committee is essentially exclusively members of the board, and when you're not going to have more than a quorum, so really two folks really isn't technically a committee. So I think we're going to have to look at policy wording. I'll see if I can pull it up here quickly. I think just before we would send, we would want to make sure we're up on that. I'm trying to remember which policy it is here.
Dr. Hornick, I would greatly appreciate that. We did discuss whether this should be a standing committee or an ad hoc committee. I think the standing committee we felt was a more permanent, structured type of committee and process, but we definitely want to make sure we are following policy as necessary.
So do we think it's just a matter of changing the terminology?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If standing was omitted, would you feel comfortable?
Oh, sure. It was just to bring, because I know there's, and I just have to find it. There's a policy that says that the Orange County School Board does not have standing committees. And just due to the nature of what a true standing committee is. So essentially, you have a board of 9 people. You could put 3 folks on a standing committee made up of exclusively board members, and you're not necessarily having their meetings and they're open, right? So. I just want to make sure we're not sending it's policy BCE,
Which reads,
there are no standing committees of the Orange County School Board. Special committees may be appointed by the chairman or created by school board action. These committees shall be appointed or created for a specific purpose and shall expire upon completion of the assigned task unless school board action authorizes temporary continuance of such committees.
so when we had our reorganizational meeting, would that have been the type of committee that is the board, Orange County Board Legislative Committee? Is that the type that it is? Then yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to just make sure we weren't sending something that actually stands in contrast. I think Ms. Quintern said it right. I think it's a
Take
committee.
the word out.
Yeah, it is a committee that we're establishing. So.
Okay. Thank you.
So would we like to,
So I would move, Madam Chair, to send this third attachment out as revised to include omitting the word standing in that first sentence to the outstanding email correspondence.
have a second?
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty. All right, is there any board member comments or questions?
I wanted to make just a quick comment about the textbook adoption committee that's going on right now. The language arts curriculum is being adopted for elementary K through 5 for our coming school year 24-25. And there's an opportunity for our community to come in and look at these books. You can do it physically here down the hall in Mrs. Weaver's office, or you can do it, you can access the 3 different textbook companies online. If you just go to the front page of the website, it's there. There's a Google Doc, or there's physical forms if you're like me and you like to still write with old-timey pencil and paper. And turn that in. But I would encourage community participation. This is a big freaking deal. These books are going to take us through, the next 5 years, and literacy is the foundation of everything else we do. So I'm really hoping the community will buy into this, look at these books, make sure they're high quality, make sure they're what you're looking for, high character, books that we want our kiddos reading and learning to read from. And I applaud Monica Weaver and Dr. Wolfrey, and I was at a couple of those committee meetings, and there's just some really wonderful reading specialists and teachers who are working hard. And it was a privilege to sit in with them and watch it happen. So I'm going to be looking at all those books too.
We appreciate you all engaging in the committee. Yes,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. Closed session certification.
Pursuant to 2.2-311A of the Code of Virginia, the Orange County School Board will convene a closed meeting for the following: discussion of personnel or the performance of a division employee as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for resignation, termination, transfer, employment, salary adjustment, and retirement of employees.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. We are in closed session. Meeting back to order. I have a closed session certification, please.
Whereas the Orange County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Orange County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
May I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Byram, roll call.
Mrs. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Dawson,
Aye.
Ms. Harrington,
Aye.
Ms. Quintern,
Aye.
Mr. Rickett.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies the vote as follows: 5 yes votes, no no votes. The resolution is approved by a 5-0 vote.
All right. Deposition of personnel actions. Dr. Hornick, does this come with your recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Recommend approval for the personnel actions as presented in closed session.
May I have a motion?
I move that we recommend approval of the personnel agenda to include salary adjustment, resignation, transfer, and employment, and coaching appointments.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
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 And
Dun, dun, dun.
I believe that's everything. I will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.